I miss seeing Anna. We were exercising together in
We're
the.
gonna go ahead and get started.
Had to give it
How's
up.
everybody doing?
Good.
Great. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Just FYI, so just be careful what you do. This meeting is being recorded, and it'll be on our website. And so we've got microphones scattered throughout. So please don't say anything negative about Jessica because it will pick you up. Please say things all you want about Miles. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, this meeting is being recorded for those that couldn't be here and also for the benefit of the public. Our intent is to record all of these meetings, including the committee for tomorrow on the comprehensive land use plan. My name is Mario Canizares. I'm the city manager here in Nacogdoches. Here to this kickoff meeting of the downtown master plan. This has been really an exciting time, I think, to really bring a group of citizens that are very interested in our downtown, certainly interested in our community. And so I hope this is a very informative process for you all. Really today's meeting is to kick us off, provide you with pieces of information, go around the table to introduce each other, go through some governance and responsibilities, charges based on what the committee's responsibilities are to do. And then, in fact, I'll go through my itinerary and get ahead of myself. So again, welcome. We'll go around the table here shortly with introductions. Again, as I mentioned, the committee charges, responsibilities, pretty reasonable, pretty self-explanatory. The governance component, would like to spend a few moments going through your binder and what you have in front of you, and then really open it up for any Q&A that you may have, and then we're out of here. So I'm hopeful, unless there's a lot of discussion, I'm hoping that we can get out of here hopefully within 60 minutes. And if we go longer than 60 to 90 minutes, we're in trouble. But I'm hoping that we can get out of here within 60, 65 minutes, because again, it's more of a kickoff meeting. We'll spend more time on it. All right. So that being said, we are going to make an introduction. We need to do that just because, hey, it's a committee. It's a large committee. And so what I would ask that you do is just a few things. If you'll give us your name, how long you've lived in Nacogdoches, and what do you do? Then at some point throughout while we're here, you should have some sticky notes in front of you. And what I would ask you to do is to write on individual notes what you love about our community or downtown or our community in general. And then what do you think we should improve upon? And then when you leave, if you could, please put your notes on, hopefully you know which one is for love and the one that's not for love. And so if you will put that, we would like to capture that. Just quick input for today. We'll capture all that and try to provide some recurring themes. And then we'll provide you that at the next meeting. Okay? So with that being said, can we go ahead and go around the room, tell us who you are, how long you've been here, and what do you do? We'll start with Ann, and we'll end with.
My name is Ann Kelly Keenan. Keenan's my married name, so I've been known by either one still. Came here in 1974, go to Sfa and stayed like so many people did, had a family. I did have a 12-year stint. I couldn't find a teaching job where I lived in Houston, but when the kids were gone, I retired and came back. And since I've been retired, I've been walking around the corner to the city council meetings just for the fun of it and getting involved in things. And that's it. I have 3 kids, and 2 of them live in Australia, and 4 grandchildren that all live in Australia. That's my big claim to fame.
Well, I'm Betty Shin. I moved here in 75 and was an employee of Memorial Hospital, and then helped open medical center and retired there in 05. And then managed the imaging center in front of Walmart. So my background is in healthcare. I'm retired now, but I'm an antique dealer. I've had a business downtown. I have one in Marshall, Texas now. My claim to fame, I'm like you, is my 2 grandchildren, Sfa graduates, second one working on her master's. I guess the best thing I could say about myself is I love this town. I love the people here. We moved here in 75 with my husband's employer, the state of Texas. I've loved it ever since, and I've worked in many areas of the town and willing to do whatever to make it a better city. That's me.
My name is Evelyn Sauceda. I think I have been living here in Nacogdoches for more than 25 years. I'm currently serving as the Director of Bilingual and ESL programs for Nacogdoches ISD. I have 2 children. I love Nacogdoches. This is the best place to raise kids. And this is my home. So I really love it.
I'm Jeff Apt. I came here in 71 as a student. Been here just about ever since.
I'm Shay Reynolds. I was born here, so I'll let you figure out how long that was. And I've raised my family here. I'm the interim director of the School of Human Sciences at SFA and the CVB representative.
John Anderson, retired. I'll go on record saying I do have a downtown property that I own, so I'll have to abstain on a few things probably. Moved back here in 1973, and so far as I know, I'm the only living person who was on the original group committee to create the plan you have in front of you.
My name is Ramsey Carr. I've been in Nacogdoches since 2012. I own and operate the Chick-fil-A here, and also have a downtown property. So I love our downtown. I think it's really cool. So that's why I wanted to be on the committee.
Perky Beisel, I'm representing the Nacogdoches Historic Landmarks Preservation Committee. And I came here to work at SFA, and I've been working there in the history department since 2005, so for 16 years.
I'm Brandy Cartwright, and I am the representative for the Parks Advocacy League. And I'm also a mom, and I own a small business. I have 1 child of my own, and you'll also often see me with an extra child. I watch lots of kids because I love them, and I'm an early childhood music teacher as well. And I really am interested in downtown. I lived in Austin for a while, and I think I have some good ideas, hopefully, to, just from living there, especially in relationship to kids.
Hi, I'm Mario Torres, and I moved here in 2015, and I do work for the school district, Nacogdoches ISD. I'm an English as a second language specialist, and like Brandy, I'm also a transplant from Austin, and I chose Nacogdoches.
I'm Laura Culpepper. I moved here in, I believe it was 96. I've got 6 kids, all grown, but I worked out of my house for many years, currently working as an architect on Main Street. So I've spent a lot of time on Main Street.
I'm Jay Anderson. I'm the city council representative, one of the 2 city council representatives for this committee. I'm the Southwest Ward representative. I have 1 child, have lived here other than 2 years away at school, lived here my whole life. Shay said I'll let y'all figure out how long that is. And I am looking forward to participating in this process.
I'm Miles McCall, and I am the Main Street Board representative. And I came here in 79 as an SFA student and didn't know the entire time I was here that there was a downtown. And I left because after I graduated, I never wanted to live in a tiny rat hole of town again. And after about 4 or 5 years in Houston, I decided this is a much better way to live, and returned to Nacogdoches and have been here mostly ever since, except for a 7-year stint because of work. I spent about almost 30 years in higher education, professor at SFA and a VP at SFA raising money, and then I went over to Jacksonville, was president of Longmore's College for 7 years. And after all of that, I was tired and ready to do something different. So my retirement job is with the Commercial Bank of Texas downtown. And people say, what do you do at the bank? And I say, it's very simple. I do everything the real bankers don't want to do. And so what I learned is that this is a really special place. And I've really learned that we buy banks in lots of little towns. We have 22 locations, and we purposely try to buy the little banks that are downtown. Because I just see how critical it is in those smaller communities that downtowns stay vibrant. And I make sure our downtown stays vibrant too.
I'm Greg Williams. I was born in Nacogdoches Memorial Hospital in 1965.
Ooh.
Lived here pretty much my entire life. Went to Stephen F. Austin, met my wife there, and had about an 8-year stint, kind of like Miles, that I went to Tyler, Houston, Dallas in that order, and found my way back here in 1994. I love it here. I have a senior at A&M and a senior in high school.
Before we move on to staff, I just wanted to, again, if you haven't noticed, they're sitting by themselves, not because they're sick or bad. And I'm still feel bad about it, but last night, through the approval process, the council appointed Miles and Greg as your chair, your vice chair. Just FYI, just from a perspective, they have the same authority as everyone. It's just to facilitate meetings, to call the meetings to order, just to move things along. So it's really the premise behind that.
This is not the first time I've had to sit alone.
We do have some folks that could be here. We will make sure that they receive the information that you have, and we'll be happy to get them up to speed as best we can in their absence. And so the other thing that you'll notice too is the SFA Student Representative. We did not have a name at this point, but we will be updating a name. But just with the timing of finals and dead week and all the things going towards the end of the semester, we thought it probably wasn't the best time to try to find a student to participate, but council's very interested in having a student representative for both committees. So we'll be working with that and hopefully have someone named certainly by mid-January, early February, just when kind of things get normal. So the next slide that we have, the next slide is just to kind of give you an idea, and this is all in your binders, so we'll go through it in a minute, but the next one is our staff representative. So if we can just tell us who you are, what you do, and then there's folks in the back that are involved too. And we got more people than we have names, but they're here to support as well. But the main contact that you'll be seeing are the names on this sheet. So.
I know most of y'all, but I'm Jessica Sowell. I'm the Community Services Assistant Director, also the Main Street Manager and the Historic Sites Manager right now. So wearing a lot of hats. I'll be your staff lead contact, so y'all feel free to reach out to me whenever. I moved to Nacogdoches in 2005 to go to school. My family all assumed I was moving back afterwards, and I was like, sorry, y'all, I'm not going anywhere. Met my husband here, and we're raising our family here.
Brian?
Brian Bray, Community Services Director, and I've loved all 18 years that I've been here, and I'm not a Ben, but I have 2 daughters that are.
There you go.
Steve Bartlett, I'm the Director of Public Works and City Engineer, and on Tuesdays I take out the trash, so I'm just here to kind of help and guide as well. Thank you.
Elena Helton, City Planner and Director of Planning and Neighborhood Services. I'm also a SFA alumni, Axel Jacks, and did a 7-year stint in a couple other cities and made my way back around. And so happy to meet everyone.
Larissa Philpott, I am the former city planner, so I've had a good amount of planning experience here in the community, and I'm the president and CEO of NETCO. I'm happy to be here to support the team and maybe provide a little bit of history.
Go ahead.
So can we introduce yourself?
You too.
I'm Bethany Griffin. I'm the Main Street Assistant, so I'll be kind of helping it out, helping Jessica out as well. I'm also the Public Information Officer for the city. I moved here in 2016 to go to college. I am currently an SFA student for another 3 days. Yeah, excited to do this play with y'all.
I am Rhonda Bliss, Office Assistant to Atlantic Hilton, and I've been here from California for 2 months now, and love Nacogdoches.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Rogers. I graduated in May from SFA, and I'm currently working on my master's, and I am an intern in the planning and zoning department.
I'm Juan Paulette. I'm the planning technician. I also graduated from SFA, and I graduated from high school here and love it.
You want to say anything, Matt, since you're here?
I'm Matt Tyler. I work in the IT department. I'll be trying to frantically connect cables before these meetings. I I am a Ben, born in Nacogdoches, about 40 years ago. It's a great place to live and I'd love to contribute whatever I can.
Yes, and again, Mario Canizars, I'm actually in my second stint. I was here as a college student, as a 19-year-old from 1992 to 95, where I graduated. My wife went to SFA as well. While we didn't meet at SFA, we knew each other beforehand. We both graduated at the same time, so we're both SFA grads. I've been the city manager since August of 2020, and looking forward to having my wife with me permanently sometime early next summer after we get our high school kid graduated from high school and off to college. So that's kind of where things are. So, all right. We miss anybody? I think we did. So again, I may read this, and I apologize. I know you all can read, but just want to make sure. The responsibilities and charges. So, you know, as a committee, again, it's an advisory committee for a specific process. Obviously, there's expectations because there's a lot of material to cover. As I mentioned, today will be relatively short, and we'll progress over the course of the next several months. We expect this process, because the downtown is much more confined, we hope, depending on how the process goes, to take approximately 10 to 12 months, maybe less, but approximately 10 to 12 months is typically how these efforts go. So, you know, obviously with part of this process, and having input is important. Having input is maintaining regular attendance. That's pretty self-explanatory. Being engaged, being participatory. Part of the role that you all have is the reasons why you've been selected is because you've got community connections, you have circles of influence, you have areas of where that you're, because of your connectivity within the community, you're there to hopefully represent a large population. And so that's part of it, is staying connected and representing those communities. You all are here to provide guidance to certainly to us, the consultant, if that consultant is selected throughout the process to advance crucial steps. You will be reviewing and providing recommendations on a variety of plan elements throughout the process as that occurs. At times, because we will be having meetings out in the community, whether large group meetings or small group meetings, we ask that you help us. And when we say serve as host, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do everything, but a lot of times you're able to open doors that we just can't because you have those connections. And so that's what we need. And so also in assisting us in helping push the message. So if we are going to have an event, that you help push the message to invite people to come. So again, it's important, whether it's this process or the comprehensive land use plan, that input is received, because at the end of the day, it's not the consultant's plan. It's not really the staff's plan. Honestly, it's not the committee's plan, it's the community's plan. So this is very important. And so this is where you all come to play, because again, there are a lot of things that we just can't do because we're not necessarily in those communities that you are. Kind of keep it in that same theme. Sometimes we have those hard to reach populations. Again, there are areas of our community that we recognize that are underserved. And so sometimes we just don't have that connection. And so we ask that if you do, please help us. And if you don't, and you know those that do, that you help us make those connections into those harder to reach populations. Again, we want to get there in good. And then ultimately, of course, just maintain decorum at all times. Assume that at some point along the conversations, there may be some very passionate discussions about issues. And we just hope that there are no fist fights. And I'm kidding, but that just maintain decorum throughout the process. Because at the end of the day, when we walk away, we're still part of this community. We see each other at various places. And so again, that's pretty much it. Any questions so far? So committee governance, as I mentioned last night, the city council approved a resolution, and we'll go through it here in just a moment. But the city council appointed all of you to this process, and all the other folks that are going to be part of the comprehensive land use plan. They also appointed the chair and co-chair, which we have here this evening or this afternoon. All meetings are open to the public. And I will tell you, just out of full disclosure, because we weren't sure if council was going to approve everything, this meeting is open to the public, but wasn't publicly posted as a meeting. But all meetings going forward will be publicly posted on our website, I would assume on social media sites. And so again, we've got chairs for the public to attend and participate. As I mentioned, the meetings are being recorded so that the public can watch. We will have minutes. Again, there won't be verbatim minutes, but we will have minutes that kind of summarizes the conversation. So we'll have that available for consideration, hopefully by the next meeting. I doubt we'll have minutes next time for this meeting, but certainly we'll have, if we do meet on a regular basis, the intent is to try to have minutes completed. So at your next meeting, you have those in your form and available. Again, when we have a quorum, we're going to start. So, and it's a simple majority. So if we have a 19-member committee, we just need to get to 10. We gotta go. And so today I wanted to wait a few minutes just because it was a little bit of traffic, but hopefully the intent is being respectful of everyone's time. And so at the moment that we initiate a quorum and we really can't start sooner than the time posted, if we have to wait a few minutes because of bad weather or bad accident or whatever, we'll do so. But at the time that we have a quorum, we'll get started. There are council members present and participating. As Mr. Anderson's here, Ms. Fisher could not be here, but they're intended to serve as resources. And I know there's a little bit of debate about voting. I mean, I don't think there's really an expectation that there's going to be formal votes, but I think the whole intent is to use consensus, and that's the next bullet. But what we want to have is council members to participate. They need to be resources. They're here. I mean, they are tied into the community just like you are. But again, what I asked of council, and I think it was discussed last night, that council not dominate the conversation, because that can easily happen. I mean, it's just, and they don't necessarily, and again, no offense to one of my bosses who's present, but sometimes that just happens naturally. And so some committees just defer to council members, and really this is a committee process. So they are active participants, but my ask of them in front of you is that they don't dominate the conversation, but they are participants. And again, the way it's listed, sorry about consensus, we're going to be using consensus. And again, we can talk about consensus. I know there's been volumes and volumes of books written about consensus, but at the end, consensus is trying to get general agreement on a variety of ideas. And there is no expectation at all that there is going to be unanimity or 100% agreement on everything. We hope there's 100% agreement on most things, just because I think we care about our community, and I think a lot of them come out there. But there are some components that there will be differences of opinion, and those opinions are important. And but at the end of all of that, we hope when, again, with the chair or the vice chair and the chair's absence, when they go around to see, okay, what are people's concerns or ideas, or, you know, what does everyone again feel, and how do you feel about moving forward? You know, if there are concerns about a specific element, bring it up and let's talk through it. And let's figure out if we can reach consensus on moving element. And that's really, a lot of it is mostly art than it is science a lot of times. Because again, about having consensus, people to come to the table, hopefully with an open mind, hopefully be flexible, and ultimately when an element is moved on from this process to the next level, that in generalities that the committee can support. As these elements are moving forward, they will be presented to the next level board. So in this case, the natural fit would be to the Main Street Board on the comprehensive land use plan. It could be it would be the Planning and Zoning Commission, but they could be used interchangeably. If there are some planning elements that needs to go in front of the Planning Commission, we will definitely do so. If there are some elements from the comprehensive land use plan that's pertinent more to downtown or more from Main Street that may, for whatever reason, just pull it into this discussion, it'll be brought forward here and make sure that it's gone to Main Street for their review. And then ultimately, it goes to city council for approval. And then at the end of all this, we have adopted plans. And then one thing the council did ask, and again, just from an accountability measure, whether it's this committee, this committee, this makeup of this committee, or some level of this committee, they would like to see that once a plan is adopted in the future, that there is an accountability. That was one of the concerns that was brought forward through a lot of discussions in the past about, well, you know, we haven't implemented certain elements of this plan or that plan. What's the purpose? So one of the ideas that council had, and again, whether it's this group or a combination of this and another one, the other one is to have a sort of an oversight so that as plan elements are brought forward and their goals created, that there's an accountability measure. So if there's something that needs to be done, that gets done. And so if it isn't, if it doesn't, then there needs to be a reason why. And so I think that's very helpful to provide that accountability measure as plan elements are recommended. Any questions so far before we move on?
Can I say something about consensus?
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing about consensus, you mentioned, like, if somebody wants something and somebody else wants the opposite thing, and they can't really agree, what it ends up doing, it forces everybody else to come up with a third option that no one ever thought of before. And then we can agree on that. So it kind of helps with creativity.
Absolutely.
Which I love.
Any other questions? We're moving fast. You really do want to get out of here in an hour. So we're actually moving pretty quick because we're almost done with my slides, and we're going to go spend a little time in the material. So what you have in front of you, what you have is you have, and it says binder, but you have the 1974 downtown plan, copy of it, that was adopted in 1970. You have this in front of you. We're not going to go through it tonight or today. But just wanted to make sure you have this because it's important. That's one of the things that's been also a discussion point is people have ideas and they have thoughts and they have opinions. And we want to make sure that based on that you have what was adopted. We're going to be providing the same document, the comprehensive land use plan that was adopted in 2003 to the Planning Commission, or excuse me, to the Comprehensive Land Use Plan Committee, Advisory Committee. So we'll be providing that. And so again, we'll be talking further about future things, but I just wanted to make sure you have this and so for the other committees. In your binder, we have a series mentioned in one. Oh, thank you. You're just thank you. And so what you have in front of you also is a binder of information. So you have all of that contacts that were listed in the previous slide deck, and certainly provide you additional contacts for other folks in the room if you need to provide those at a later date. We wanted to make sure you have all this. We have everyone's contact information here in the Downtown Master Plan Committee. So there was a sign-in sheet, and if not everyone is signed in, we ask that before you leave, that you do sign in. That way we make sure that we have the correct email and cell phone or telephone or your preferred phone to reach out to you. Please let us know, and if there's some changes, let us know so that we can definitely make those changes and we can provide you with updates. It's important for you to have this. Yes, and while we don't have it in this binder, the other thing that you have in your binder behind the contact list is a resolution. It's a resolution that was approved by. And while I'm not going to go and read through it all, I will tell you there were just a few tweaks that were made from last evening's meeting. One was to ensure that there was that oversight component that's been added to the resolution. It wasn't in the original draft resolution in the city council back in early November. So and in their package, so that includes the other thing that it includes is, you know that life happens, and unfortunately we had proposed that that if someone left the committee because life happens, moved or whatever, things just happen, you can't participate, that there would not be, that person would not be replaced. We changed that to basically state that they may could be replaced or they may not. It just depends, depending on how far we are. If we're 3/4 of the way through, it may be difficult to have someone early on in the process and someone needs to step out. We get that. We want to make sure that that could be replaced by city council. So that's in there as well. What you have as well in one of your tabs, I believe tab 3, is a list of plans. Like I said, we have the 1972 plan. Our intentions are to be able to give you copies of any of other things that have been completed. If you have a full set of plans, and so there's probably a lot of reading to be done, but our intentions are to be able to get it to you. Focus to be able to get this to you at the next meeting. We want to make sure that we gave you the 72 plan, so 74 plan. So what we have is we've got some more work to do. As they're completed, we'll make sure they're full months and included in your binders that you have. And the other thing that we included under the 4th tab is just a process timeline. You can just see the number of meetings that we've had over the course of the last year, almost to the day. And so, again, this is not really providing just extended information. This has been an ongoing discussion. And so this is not something that just not it's been going on for quite some time. And so, again, this is just as a resource for you. In your 5th tab, it's a copy of the presentation that was made this evening. If you turn to the second to the last page, one of the things that says here is the next meeting. 3 p.m. is blank on your slide, so it should be 3 p.m. on Monday. And so, really, that's kind of the intent of the binder for today. To be able to go through all that and just share with you what we've included so far. And again, just keep in mind that we'll be bringing to you more resources, more materials to do your binder as we go. Any questions so far on the binder? Yes, ma'am.
Is this comprehensive plan for downtown, 74 was the last one?
Yes, ma'am.
1974?
Yes, ma'am.
Not anyone since then? Oh, ma'am.
The Main Street Board does annual transformation strategies. Those aren't done with any public involvement or anything like that. It's just what the board thinks we need, we can afford, what we've heard from downtown visitors. So we do have those. They're a little bit more program driven, at least in the past. So we do have that, but we have not done another master plan since 74.
Since 74?
Yes.
But as I mentioned, Eddie, is that we want to provide you any of the other studies that have been landscaping studies or been a series of other things that have been done, but not, when you say full master planning, no, man, there's just been pieces.
So as we move along, we can get copies of those studies then.
Next meeting.
But I just want to point out too, that means Greg was 10.
Do what?
Greg was 10 and this is.
74, well, let's not.
That didn't help. All right, so this is where consensus, see if the group can actually agree on the next board. This is a big committee, a big group, large group of people, even with those passing. And so, to me, what I've always, whether you enjoy it or not, what's always helpful for me when you participate in these processes is consistency. And so really knowing that everyone has a schedule, everyone's busy, whether you work or you don't work, everyone has lives outside of serving here. We don't have lives. We're here. This is what we did. But you all have lives, and so if you have obviously personal commitments, and we recognize that you can't make every meeting because this life happens. But really, with the exception of next Monday, what I'd like to find out, if possible, is what is a preferred day of the week and a preferred time in which you meet.
And we would meet once a month.
Yes, sir. And the intent would be at least try to meet once a month. If we don't need to meet, there's no reason to meet. I'm not gonna call you to meet for not for you couldn't. But there may be a need to meet, but it would be good to meet on a once a month basis. Try to make it consistent so everyone has it. It's consistent not only for you, it's consistent for the public, it's consistent for staff. But we recognize that you want to assume it with evenings. I would assume you want to avoid Fridays. So you start to limit to, a 4-day week here. And then we have conflicts for council meetings on Tuesdays. Not every Tuesday, thank goodness, but there are those conflicts, the first and third Tuesday. And so really it's just trying to land on what's a preferred time.
Well, this is just to get the conversation going.
Sure, just to get the conversation going.
This is the second Wednesday of the month. I kind of like Wednesday because a lot of folks have church Wednesday night, and that way we don't get stuck here forever. And people have to leave and go to church.
It's a hard stop.
Just a thought to me, we do the year, gotta get through the holidays, but maybe we do this same time, the second Wednesday of every month. And we would be wrapped up typically by 30 or so, and that way we still get to church and anything like that, or to the Benoni bar or whatever your gig is.
And that's one of the questions that's come up is what's, outside of the length of time, it's about a 10 to 12 month process. How much time? And again, I want to work efficiently and I want to stick to time commitments because again, you all have lives and you may have other commitments that you have in other places. And so I would hope that when we meet that we stick to about an hour and a half, 90 minutes, maximum 2 hours max. And then if we can't get to whatever it is we got to, then maybe we park that and we bring it to the next meeting and try to find some students. So, leave it at that. So anyway, so far we've heard second Wednesday, 4 p.m. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, start at 4, be through about 5:30. Throw it out there for discussion.
I'd be a super fire church, but let me go a little tired.
Yeah, that's a little tight for me too.
Yeah.
I would need it earlier on Wednesday.
3:30?
Yeah, I have a thing I have a class I teach at 5:30, so I have to get there by then.
Could we start a little earlier? Yeah.
Yeah.
And 3:30, is that good? I mean, I have to be honest, this is gonna take 10 months. I think 2 things are gonna be happening. One is, we don't have to finish everything in a given day. If we need to get out of here in an hour and a half, we'll get out of here in an hour and a half. I also think there'll be, from listening to the city commission meeting last night and discussions, there'll be sometimes when a subgroup wants to find out more information about something we're discussing, and they may have their own meeting, and just come back and report some information to us. I'm okay with 3:30. Anybody else? I don't even put their time at 3:30 or.
I think 3:30 is fine, and I have to say, I have to apologize. I have a commitment at 5%, but 3:30 is just perfect. So if you see me leaving, it's because I have to. For other times, I will reserve my time accordingly to the committee says.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Sorry.
Done.
3:30 works.
Is anybody next to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
3:30, Mario?
3:30.
I live for this.
What'd you say?
I live for this.
Oh, okay. No, I'm kidding. They don't. Oh, shit. So, wow, that is very easy. This is very consistent.
Well, don't. So, yeah, we're reaching toward the end.
Outside of what's been covered so far, again, mostly housekeeping. I did skip that. So on the 13th, I need to spend some time on it. So originally, we thought, that we were going to have the proposed consultant come and spend time with both committees, kind of do some introductory discussions. Council had their opinion, that's perfectly fine. And we are moving on. So we met this morning with our city staff. So instead, we would like to go ahead and keep, one of the things that council said yesterday evening, during the discussion that what's important when it comes to consensus, and I would assume most everyone on this committee, they know each other, they don't know each other, they know of each other, and so if you don't know each other at all, then hopefully you look to know each other, and same thing with the other. But one of the things that helps with building consensus is there's some bonding time. There's some time that the committees need to do some work, tackle an issue. And so one of the things that we'd like to do for Monday is still have the meeting, so we'll still be meeting at 3. We'll be preparing some snacks, I think having some snacks, some refreshments, light refreshments next Monday. But the intent would be is to do some work. And so this will be staff led. At that point, it will be turned over to the chair to kind of call the meeting to order. And again, at that point, it really becomes, I mean, it is your committee, but today it's just, I'm doing a lot of talking. Next week, staff will be doing a lot of talking, but really it's going to be committee led and committee facilitated. So the intent would be next Monday, and we're going to do it for both groups, is to sort of go through, not page by page, but sort of at a high level, some of the planning elements of this plan. Just go through that number review. So at a very high level, review the plan. We'll probably be giving you a homework assignment to read through this over the holidays and some of the other materials that we give you. I believe we're looking at doing some level of a planning exercise, talking about the importance of long-range planning, because it is important. I mean, you all plan every day, and whether you're planning for a vacation or you're planning to build a home or you're planning to do some financial, we all plan in our lives. Cities are no different. And so map downtown is no different. And so again, our plan that we have adopted, Betty, is from 1974. I was born in 74. And so, you know, it's time to look at some things. We love our downtown, but downtown in 74 is very different than downtown today. And we all know that. So how do we, adapt to those realities and make sure that because I believe we all believe, I would assume we all believe that we want downtown to be fun. No doubt. And so, but it's going to be thriving in a different way than probably what it was in 1974 because the retail establishments and how people utilize downtown is just, and so planning for the long term is important. So that way we can establish those goals if you all establish those goals as a group, moved over to council or ultimately those committees, council, and hopefully those things can get adopted and we can begin it. So we would like to go through a series of about an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of work next Monday to start the process. And so from there on Monday, then we'll talk about what we, again, we've kind of established now a meeting time, second Wednesday of the month. And so we would like to reconvene you all in January, have another meeting in February. And really at the end of the day, the whole purpose is really do a deep dive into the plan, into the other documents that have been approved, and really get everyone on the same playing field. Get everyone that's on these committees fairly educated on what's been done so far or what hasn't been done so far. Because everyone may be at a different level of understanding. That's certainly the case with comprehensive. And so it's important we think that, as a group, that we do some initial work together, sans without the consultant, do some initial work together, working with staff, we can be your resource. And we would like to see at the end of a couple of months of this work, have an outcome, have a report that can then be provided to the Main Street Board and allow the Main Street Board, because of this committee, have input on that and understand that, and then push that report to City Council. And I would love to be able to do in early spring a combined report with the chairs of both committees, be able to convey to City Council, this is the work that your committees have been doing the last month. And then if the council decides to approve the consultant in January, then a lot of this work has been done, everyone's on the same playing field, and we can begin work with the consultant at that point. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how we kind of repositioned ourselves as far as not losing time. Regardless of whether there's a committee or a consultant, no consultant, this committee can do some really good work to move our community. And with that, is there
one question. Are there specific boundaries to downtown that we are living on?
One of the things that we're going to have is
Boundaries.
We're going to have that so you can see.
All right.
And identify. That's a good question.
Yeah, probably not as simple as.
Not really. So before we adjourn and turn it over to Miles, are there any other discussion, questions that you may have that you would like to bring up that we haven't discussed, concerns that you might have? Is this going to be the evening? Is that what you're telling me? Okay, I'll take it.
We'll just leave. Where will the meeting be next time?
It'll be good. And it'll be posted. It'll be. All right. Nothing else before we go.
Don't forget, to make a little post about it, so we can stick those up there. And I just wanted to say, thanks for playing. I mean, I know a lot of you, I know you're busy and you got things going on and running around town like the rest of us, chasing kids or doing all those kind of things. But this is important. The pay is pretty dear, but the long-term payout could be tremendous. I mean, we really do have a chance. Had been done since '74. We have a chance to maybe set our downtown, on our campus that someday somebody will look at and go, wow, I'm sure glad they did that because look what's happened now. And so kind of be spiritually invested into it. I really encourage you to do that. A couple other things, do your homework. You got stuff to read now, you're gonna get other stuff to read, but homework is not just what the city staff tells us to do. Start talking to folks in town. What do they see when they visit other communities that we might need in ours? And own this. Be a vessel of information from the community. Ask people not just like you, but ask all kinds of people so that you can bring more to the table as we're doing this. It's really pretty simple. The only authority this committee has is to make recommendations. And so let's make some recommendations. And let's take a look at what's out there in other places. Mario and I've had lots of conversations with my wife from Denton. Mario came here from Denton. When I first started visiting Denton 40 years ago, it didn't even look like Nacogdoches. It was maybe more like the center or something, I don't know if you've been in Denton lately, but it's a whole different world right now. It is blown up and exploding. And somebody somewhere sat down and saw some visions that may have happened. So let's make some great recommendations. Consensus ought to be fairly easy. We're all grown adults here. There'll be some recommendations that I might not agree with completely, and there are going to be some Betty might not agree with completely, but we're folks that want the same thing. And so let's just work together and try to get that to happen. And the last thing I would say is, let's in this committee, let's not get wrapped around the axle on things that we absolutely have no control or effect on whatsoever. Consultant, no consultant, it doesn't matter. This committee can go forward and make recommendations. If they provide us some resources, thumbs up. If they don't, we're still going to go forward. Because at the end of the day, we're not elected to city council and we don't get voted in or voted off. I mean, we're just here to really give a visionary look into what downtown can be someday. Make a series of recommendations and they have to decide, does that recommendation go to the Main Street Board or is that really a P&Z issue or is that, that's not my problem. My problem is this is how we see as a committee what a vision for downtown looks like, and they get to begin implementing that. And I know I'm pointing to y'all because then I turn around and serve on the Main Street Board and I'll have to deal with some of that. But I think that if we don't spend time rehashing things that go on in other spaces and just focus on making those recommendations, I bet we're going to be pretty proud at the end to say, you know what, as a committee, we may have just put a thumbprint on the future of what Nacogdoches could look like. And I think that'd be pretty cool. And that's where the big time payoff comes in, where your volunteer time pays dividends. That's when the next generation voice will be needed. I just appreciate you playing. I think we're going to have fun. Greg will keep me in line, trust me. He's done it before and I'll do it again.
Thank you, Tom. Greg, anything? You got it covered. Okay. Staff, did I miss anything that we need to cover? Just, they're kind of my checks.
If you'll make sure you list your preferred number, telephone number, and email address so we can verify our database so we don't miss any communication.
application.
Where is the sign-in sheet?
Right here on the table.
It's, okay.
We know how to go.
Anything from that side of the room, you think? All right, so we're good, we're done. If you can put your list, and then you all have a great day. Thank you.
All right.